He's the T-Rex of political talk. Alex Jones on the GCN Radio Network.
Dr. Russell Blaylock is a board-certified neurosurgeon, author, and lecturer. He attended the LSU School of Medicine in New Orleans and completed his general surgical internship and neurosurgical residency at the Medical Center of South Carolina in Charleston. During his residency, he ran the neurology program for a year and did a fellowship in neurosurgery after his residency. For the past 25 years, he has practiced neurosurgery in addition to having nutritional practice. He recently retired from both practices to devote full time to nutritional studies and research. During his research training, he worked with the eminent neurosurgeon, Dr. Ludwig Kempe. I believe I'm pronouncing that right. Together, they developed the I hope I'm pronouncing this right, colosal removal of intravascular tumors, which is still used today. Dr. Blaylock presented these cases utilizing the technique to the Congress of Neurosurgical Surgeons. Folks, it goes on for page after page. He's one of the top now retired brain surgeons in the world. And he's done a lot of studies and reads every day all the other major studies about what these toxins in our environment are doing and ways to not ingest all those. I have a lot of questions today. You know, there's a video making the rounds on YouTube, a little 3-minute rant I did, where this caller calls in and can't talk. And he's saying I'm a liar about the U.S. bringing Nazis in. And I said, but it's all over the news. And folks had put articles about that, you know, up over me talking. And I make the point, I say, sir, depending on the studies, 15 to 30% brain size reduction not being breastfed. And he got real mad about that. But, I mean, that's just one other little area. I mean, there's so much I want to talk to him about, and I'm very thankful for him joining us. And, Dr. Blaylock, it's good to have you here with us.
Well, thank you. It's a pleasure being on your program.
You bet. Thank you for sitting through my plugs. Out of the gates, tell folks about your books, your videos, your materials, your websites here at the very start of the show for people that want to learn more.
Well, my website is www.russellblaylockmd.com. That's RussellBlaylockMD.com. And it has a section of free information. It's, you know, I write papers about anything from mercury toxicity, vaccines, cholesterol, nonsense. And I have a paper on regimentation in medicine and the death of creativity, which people would be interested in if they're interested in the effect of collectivism on medicine. And I have some DVDs on nutrition and behavior, which talks about the effects of nutrition on how people think, as well as criminality, suicide risk, all of these things that we're hearing in the news today about our young people being uncontrollable, and the direct connection to diet and what you could do about it is discussed on this DVD. I have a newsletter that's published through Newsmax.com, the Blaylock Wellness Report, which is a monthly report. I update all the things on nutrition. And I have several books. Excitotoxins, The Taste That Kills was the original book, and it's about MSG and aspartame toxicity to the brain and nervous system. And then a general nutrition book was more recent. It's Health and Nutrition Secrets That Can Save Your Life, which covers all sorts of subjects: vaccination, fluoride, mercury toxicity, cardiovascular disease, diabetes, a lot of different subjects. And it's very comprehensive. The third book is Natural Strategies for Cancer Patients, in which I reviewed a world of studies on nutrition and cancer suppression. Goes through how to not only use it primarily to treat cancers of various kinds, but also how it enhances the effectiveness of what's considered traditional cancer treatment and makes them less toxic. But these are two recent books, the last two. The excitotoxin book was updated in 1997, I think it was.
And it's all available at your website that we have up on screen for everybody watching at prisonplanet.tv. You know, just while you were talking there for a minute or two, Obama, the major changes, if they haven't taken over medicine already, now they're openly announcing it. I want to get into what SSRIs, just the toxicity alone, is doing, admitting that it causes suicide. I want to get into the youth that you mentioned. I want to get into the numbers we see with cancer being way up, why allergies are way up in people that have never had them. your take on the genetically modified organisms creating all these new proteins and things that are, according to scientists we've interviewed, that are causing so many problems. I want to get into just kind of a laundry list covering a lot of subjects, what some of the more dangerous things are in foods we want to avoid, the excitotoxins, not just aspartame and things like MSG, but some of the other things that are out there. Where would you like to start first, Doctor?
Well, I think what I need to probably start with is discussion of how we came to what we call orthodox medicine in the United States, because this is a source of great confusion. People are now inundated with the idea of whether there's orthodox medicine, which is what we traditionally think of medicine and accepted, and then we have people working outside of orthodox medicine, which is sort of frowned on. That's the people doing nutrition, vitamins, minerals, herb usage, etc. And so you need to kind of understand, well, who created orthodox medicine? Where did that come from? Well, it actually came from the Rockefeller Foundation back in 1901. The Rockefellers at the time, their family, because of the Standard Oil scandals, no one wanted to be called a Rockefeller. Everybody hated all the Rockefellers. And so his friend, Reverend Gates, went to John D. Rockefeller Sr. and told him, said, well, here's a way we can repair your reputation. And he gave him a good example. There was this man who everybody hated, just like, they were hating you. And he started giving money out for all sorts of philanthropic enterprise. And soon people forgot all of the bad things. All they remembered was this philanthropy that he was pouring out. And he said, so that's what we need to do with you. And so the first thing, because Gates' father was a physician and John D. Rockefeller's father was a quack snake oil salesman, he said, let's form the Rockefeller Institute of Medical Research. And so they created this in 1901. And so Rockefeller owned what was called the Drug Trust. That's the major drug manufacturing firms all over the world, Merck, Pharmaceutical, Letterly, all of these drug pharmaceutical companies.
Because the Rockefellers understood taking over an entire industry and controlling the education system is the key to dominating societies. These are monopoly men.
Right, and he also made himself a lot of money, and that's what Gates pointed out to him. Not only can we present this as philanthropy, but by promoting only drugs and the treatments that you promote as being so-called orthodox, that'll feed back into the companies that you own. And, of course, what he didn't always directly own companies. He would buy enough shares so he controlled them.
Yeah, it's very simple for people that don't understand what you're saying. This is all part of the mainline history. It isn't taught in the mainline textbooks, but it is there for those that want to know. They took over the education system in medicine to then direct the course of it into their own companies.
Right, and the way he took over the medical education system at the time, he hired a person called Abraham Flexner, and he told him, what we need to do is have you study the medical schools in the United States and write a critique of it. And, of course, the aim was to remove all nutrition references to nutritional-type treatments from the medical schools. So they closed down half the medical schools in the United States. There were 165 medical schools at the time. Well, he closed half of them. Then he had his anointed medical schools, which he poured his money into, appointed the professors from his own stock of professors. And so they created an educational system that taught the things that he wanted taught. And therefore, every professor that came out of those programs taught the same thing. So you established an orthodox training system where everybody was saying the same thing.
Yeah, they call it now standardization, just like international bodies fund every county and city and fly around the city managers and social planners, where now all the zoning's the same, or the schools are the same, or the anti-gun message is the same, or the anti-sovereignty message. Everything is standardized, so this all goes back to them doing this with banking, and then medicine, and then energy. Please continue.
Right, and if you look at the history of it, it all stemmed from Rockefeller. He did this in all of those segments that you discussed, including the municipalities. and the cities and villages so that he controlled their governments as well. Well, he now has absolute control of all of medical care in the United States, as well as has moved out into the world. He made it international.
And then when they have control of medicine, they can cover up by compartmentalizing and giving false data to the doctors who are compartmentalized and scientists. They can cover up their eugenics program to make sure that real doctors and scientists don't ever discover it, correct?
Right, and the thing is, Lily Kay wrote a book on this. It's the history of molecular medicine and the connection to Rockefeller Foundation and Caltech. It's a very in-depth history of it. She's a professor of history, very well qualified, and it's a very highly acclaimed history of molecular medicine.